What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Saturday, April 5th, 2025, and we are back with another live here on the Torian Ray Reloaded channel, a midday live at that. Make sure if you haven't done so already to please go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and if you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you are here. Hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Or simply join the Patreon and you will be notified in there. Shout out to everyone in the chat, all the members, all the mods, everybody who is subscribed to the Patreon. I greatly appreciate you as well. And if you have to catch this live on a replay, shout out to the replay gang. Now, before we get into everything, and it's quite a lot we're going to be covering today, let me acknowledge those who are here so far in the chat. We got Jerome Davis. We got We Next DSB, and of course DSB is on it, handing out these memberships like hey, not a care in the world, but I appreciate it. We got Tycoon Mooney, Copper D, MML, Stay Well, Wallow J, Reparations Nations, Robert Brown, Helene Wortham. Helene, I didn't see as far as your comment, I didn't see anything that they said about Fakem because I don't follow him. But if you have anything, please send it to me because I would definitely like to look into that, especially if I can get a triple P out of it. We got Tamika's Den. We got T-Man Smitty, DSB, Eddie Foster, Miss Skilled Gamer. We got Hurricane Nisi, Cosmo Fury, DD Phoenix, Raging Woody 74, Queen Imani. We got DSB again handing out those memberships. We got Black Rage, Black Voltron, Dark Titan. Shout out to DSB for the 100. Put some hundreds in the chat for DSB. Gifting memberships and super chats. Love it. Love to see, but I greatly appreciate it. We also got Kid Gravity, and also shout out to Kid Gravity for doing his live earlier today or earlier this morning pertaining to this topic. I think he was coming at it from the angle about Matt Walsh and some other people, but mainly Matt Walsh. Let's see who else we got in here. We got Dewani, BOG, Mr. Williams, Crystal Flex by Lex, Buzzer Cam, Gamers Den, Scoop 2003, David M. Thornton, and the Intellectual Architect. Also, Andre just popped in here, as well as Hacksign KT, and Con Equation Arts and D Money 2002. Okay, shout out to all of you, and if I missed any names, shout out to you as well. So we are here today, and shout out to Black Rage 843 for the 2. He said a lot of everyone just crying over this PC boy. Honestly, I didn't really if there are, I haven't seen them not nearly as much as PC, not even close to it, especially on Twitter. And we're gonna go over. Listen, I booked marked so much stuff in the last 48 hours to prepare for this stream today. This stream, actually, I wasn't even supposed to do until like next week. But then the more and more stuff I kept seeing, I said, you know what? I'm going to move some stuff around because I was going to have a different topic today. But I just put it on to do that topic on Monday. So I said, let me go ahead and just show y'all the things that people have been saying as it pertains to the story. And mind you, they've been saying things about this story before I even found out what the story was about. I had to do my due diligence to look up what the story was all about to find out why they were so quote unquote upset. I didn't even know the kid's name. I didn't even know the details or where it even happened, what went down. All they came out and said it was a white boy that got killed by a black boy and it's anti-white racism. And, this needs to happen to the black boy. And that's, I kid you not, if anybody who's on Twitter knows I'm not even exaggerating an ounce of what I'm saying. So the first thing that we're going to go over is we're going to actually go and look at this video clip from ABC to find out or get some slight details of what we're dealing with here as it pertains to this story involving this individual by the name of Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony, not to be confused with the basketball player.
Now to Texas, where a father says he forgives the teen accused of fatally stabbing his son at a high school track meet. Police are now revealing what led to the terrifying moment. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
New details about the killing of Austin Metcalf, the student stabbed at a high school track meet near Dallas. According to the arrest affidavit, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony has confessed to the killing, saying he was trying to protect himself.
He knew how much I loved him, how much I do for him. I do anything for him.
Hunter Metcalf says he held his twin brother Austin as he was dying.
I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So.
It happened at the district championship meet in Frisco. Hunter says his brother had asked Karmelo to move his seat because he was sitting under the wrong tent. A witness says Karmelo replied, "Touch me and see what happens." And when Austin grabbed him, Karmelo allegedly pulled a knife.
They asked him to move, and when Austin grabbed his backpack to take it, he stabbed him in the chest and killed him.
He's now charged with first-degree murder.
Just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it.
Austin is being remembered as an honors student with aspirations to play college football. Despite the shocking loss, Austin's father says he chooses forgiveness over anger.
I forgive the other person because the forgiveness is not for him. The forgiveness is for me, so I can have peace. His life is destroyed. My life is destroyed.
The arrest affidavit says as Karmelo Anthony was being arrested, he asked if Austin was okay. Anthony is being held on $1 million bond.
All right, so that's the clip right there. That's actually one of the more recent one, and it's something
the
KG
DQ
just
freezer is open.
Yeah. It's something that KG just had put in the chat. He said them folks said no national coverage. That is exactly what they were saying. Y'all will see, because a lot of them did say that, oh, this wasn't getting national coverage. This is coming from ABC News, and it was posted at 4:25 p.m. yesterday. See, the thing is, well, you know what? When we go over the post, you'll see exactly what I mean when I say they are a bunch of hypocrites and fakes and phonies. But before we get to that, shout out to Black Rage again for the 5. He said, and they say this PC boy and his brother was being bullies trying to force dude out of this tent area seat instead of getting security. Yeah, the part about like just grabbing his book bag, like how did you expect him to react? Like really, how did you? Because now you're touching my property. And if I was wearing it, now that means you're touching me. I wouldn't be surprised if there was ongoing issues between the two of them before this even happened. I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised by that. So I'm telling you, there's probably some history there. But let's go on to the next part. And this story right here is coming from the Independent. Now, this is coming from the standpoint of the father of Karmelo Anthony. It says, father of track meet murder suspect claims son was, quote, not the one who started it. He said he's a good kid, insisted the father of Karmelo Anthony, age 17, who has been charged with the murder of Austin Metcalf, also 17. This is the father of a teenager accused of stabbing a footballer from a rival school at a track event, has defended his son, claiming he's, quote, a good kid. Austin Metcalf, age 17, died following an altercation at the high school meet at Frisco Independent School District's athletic stadium in Austin, Texas, police said. Despite a desperate attempt to save his life, Austin died in his twin brother's arms. Karmelo Anthony, age 17, a student of Frisco Memorial High School, was charged with first-degree murder in connection to the killing and is being held in police custody awaiting bond. They better hope that first degree actually sticks, because that means you have to have undeniable proof that he went there with intent to do this. And from the looks of it and from what I've heard so far, it doesn't sound like he did this with intent. That means that Karmelo would have had to plan to do this. This was not planned. This was something that just happened out of impulse. If they can't find any evidence that this was planned, this thing is not going to go very far. In my opinion, this is out of pure desperation. It says his father, Andrew Anthony, told the New York Post that his son did not provoke the incident, insisting he was not the aggressor. He was not the one who started it. But I would like to know is, were there other people there? Like, were there other witnesses, or was it just them three in that tent? Because you can't tell me that at a track meet it was just those three there. It had to be other people there that actually witnessed the confrontation before the stabbing even occurred. The two Texas teens were reportedly fighting after Metcalf told Karmelo Anthony he said he was sitting in the wrong seat. Karmelo Anthony then drew a blade and stabbed Metcalf while his twin brother was standing next to him. He's a good kid. He works 2 jobs. He's an A student, has a 3.7 GPA, Andrew Anthony told the Post. The repercussions of the melee are being felt by Metcalf's father, Jeff, who shared that the family were reeling from their sudden loss. He said, I saw my son on the gurney with a huge hole and blood all over him. Air was pumping into him. He wasn't breathing, and his eyes were rolled into the back of his head. Karmelo's father said the incident will haunt both families for life. I feel bad for the other parents' families, and I cannot, and words can't explain how both families have been affected by this tragedy. Metcalf's twin brother, Hunter, reportedly tried to save his helpless sibling, but it was too late. Speaking with WFAA, the victim's identical twin said, I tried to whip around his foot as fast as I could. I looked at my brother, and I'm not going to talk about the rest. I tried to help him. His mother, Megan Metcalf, said she could not comprehend how the furor could lead to such a, quote, senseless act. Just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it. So I'm listening to the tone. The tone of the father is very different than the tone of the mother. The mother looks like if she could go out for revenge right now, she probably would. The father seems a bit on the forgiving side, and seemingly is one thing, being is another. As for the brother, it's almost like he's between both. Oh, I know, KG. He did, like, there's a interview, when in the interview he actually admits that he started it, that his brother was the one that instigated it. And they're going to take all of that, because this is definitely going to go to trial. They're going to take all of that into consideration when this goes to trial. That's why I said I don't think that first degree murder charge is not going to stick. In my opinion, it doesn't seem like they have a foundation for it to land properly. As following his son's death, Jeff Metcalf hoped changes would follow regarding security in stadiums. Maybe we can turn a tragedy into something positive to make sure that it doesn't happen to anyone else's child, he said. So those were the video from ABC. You know, one of the platforms that the Usual Suspects claims was not talking about this, and then another one from The Independent. Now what we're going to do, y'all, and what we're going to spend the rest of this stream on is go to Twitter. Because, see, I wanted to start off this live so people can get a foundation of this story. Because the way people were carrying on Twitter these last couple of days, you would have thought that they were related to Austin Metcalf. Because I'm going to be honest with you. When I first heard of this story, again, I didn't even know what it was about. I saw some posts that popped up on my timeline from people I don't even follow. And I didn't even see his picture. And I didn't think nothing of it. But then when I saw names being dropped, I was like, wait a minute. Was that in reference to the post I saw about 3 hours ago, but that I didn't have any context on? And sure enough, it was. So let's start here, because this was one of the first posts that I saw as it pertained to this story by this Isabella Moody chick. And I don't know why her name sounds familiar. I feel like I talked about her. I'm not sure. But if I didn't, it is what it is. So this Isabella Moody chick, again, without putting any context behind what the story is, puts up a picture. Now, mind you, at this time, when I saw this post, I didn't know who this was. I'm like, who is this guy? Who was this guy? Who was this kid? I didn't know who it was. And then she posted as a caption, "White people are under attack." So I'm sitting there saying to myself, okay, here they go. What happened now? That was one of the first things that happened that came through my mind was, what happened now for for her to say something like this, and who was this person in the picture? Looking at this, if we had no context or nothing about this story, y'all would have looked at this and like, okay, what is this Isabella Moody chick talking about? Who is under attack? What white people are under attack by who, and who is this guy? And of course, you know, it got over 1 million views. I have bookmarked it because, again, like I told you, I went on a bookmarking spree about this. Someone replied to and said, by who? Exactly, by who? Someone else said, stop bringing race into this. And also, that's another thing. Let me mention it now before I go any further. These fools on Twitter decided to try to turn and twist this into a quote unquote anti-white hate crime. And we're sitting here saying to myself, do any of you buffoons know the definition of a hate crime? Because this was far from it. They was trying to say Karmelo needs to be charged with a hate crime. I'm like, for what? He did not stab him because he was white. But I saw that a lot a couple days ago. I'm like, it's a good thing y'all not in anybody's courtroom because y'all would get laughed right on out of it. Someone else says, could have been my son around the same age. Mr. Wrath would be uncontrollable. This has to end. This has to end. Someone said, who's attacking them in mass? They're getting rid of DEI. They have everything in their favor right now. Someone else said, look, this whole white people are under attack nonsense is garbage, and the data rips it to shreds. FBI stats from 2019 show white folks aren't getting targeted. Most crimes against them come from other white people, not some grand conspiracy. Hate crimes, they're real, but way more black people are getting hit, even when you crunch the numbers for population. There's no attack here, just the narrative that's been pumped up to scare you. The stats don't lie, but they don't get the clicks, do they? What really got us by the throat is this algorithmic hellhole we're drowning in now. Every day, your phone's a fire hose for the worst crap shootings, which floods some idiot spouting hate, and it's all shoved in your face nonstop. Those social media algorithms, they're vultures feasting on your attention, serving up more of whatever keeps you hooked. They don't care about the truth. They're built to make you scroll, to make you feel the world's burning down, even when it is not. Violent crimes have been dropping for years, poverty shrinking, and we're better at handling disasters than ever. But you wouldn't know it because your feed's a cesspool of doom. Psych studies say it's straight this constant flood of negativity, jacks up your anxiety, twists your reality into something uglier than it is. We're wired to latch onto the bad, and these platforms are mainlining it straight to our brains, making every exaggerated claim like this under attack BS feel real. We got to claw our way out, cut the digital cord, and filter the noise. But damn, it's a brutal fight when the whole system is rigged to keep us spiraling. Someone else says, thank you for calling this out. You're absolutely right. The white race, my race, is under attack. Keep in mind, these are the same people that love to tell black people to stop talking about race. Y'all, everything that they said about this story made them look like straight up hypocrites. So I just want y'all to put this into perspective from now on. They can no longer talk about or use the bastardized version of woke, because that is what they're doing right here. They can no longer talk about stop bringing up race, because that's what they're doing right here. They can no longer talk about telling us to stop being victims when they're being victims right here. Someone else says has been since 1965, and we all know what happened in 1965. This has been going on for the last several years. Someone says, yes, they are, and it's not right. Another one says, oh, look, another goofy white bee starting trouble like her ancestors did. What's that bee name that got Emmett Till killed? Yeah, you that hoe. Someone says, y'all never been under attack unless it's been by other white people. Someone else said that is a lie. Another one said, who cares? Someone just put up a collage of white criminals. Another person says, no, you're not, and so on and so forth. So the minute that people like this Isabella Moody made it into a racial thing when it was not that's when they started to lose the plot. And man, did they lose the plot. Let's continue moving forward, y'all. So I've talked about this page before. KG's talked about this page before. End wokeness. End wokeness also on the same day. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to something. Look at the engagement that these posts are getting. The one that Isabella put up got 1 million views. This one that End Wokeness put up got 3 million plus views. See, they know exactly what they're doing. They know that this isn't a quote unquote hate crime, but if they frame it a certain way, it'll put views and it'll attract a certain audience to their platform. They know exactly what they're doing. So End Wokeness said, barely any news outlets covered Austin Metcalf. The few that did are making zero mentions of race, ethnicity, and color, selective color blindness. Why would they mention race? It was not a hate crime. And then look at the picture. They put up a picture of Austin Metcalf, looks like a high school picture. And then they put up a picture of Karmelo throwing flipping the bird, and looks like he's holding a lighter. Baron Jones says, why report on color when y'all don't see color? There you go. Someone says, your name is literally End Wokeness and you're pulling the race card. That's the funny part about it. That's the hypocrite, especially this End Wokeness page. That's the funny part. You call yourself End Wokeness, but in your in the bastardized version of the word, you mentioning color and race and them not mentioning it would completely contradict your username and the brand, so-called brand, that you created. Someone says, I thought MAGA didn't see color. Another person said, oh, that's because people hate whites. Here they go. That's all it is. We are the minorities and hated in our own countries. The minority where? Maybe around the globe you are, but here you're not. See, again, they tell every time. Shout out to Rashawn for the 5. They said, hey, first time catching the live. Thank you for covering this. They always trying to spin a narrative, especially against black folks. I appreciate the 5, and I'm glad that you are here. I hope you stick around because we got lots more to talk about. Someone said, looks up the case. A total 3,253 news outlets and government official papers about it, spoke about it. Then they got, I've seen this chart so many times. You can't tell me that ain't Photoshop. Someone says, Austin Metcalf's life mattered. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Even them copying that part about saying say his name. That was something black people started. And they tell black people to stop being victims, and it's their fault that the person died. They should have complied. Now here you have white people talking about say his name. I'm telling you, this one incident right here was not on my 2025 bingo card, mainly because who would have thought that this one incident right here would have completely exposed their whole narrative? I mean, the narrative's been exposed before, but this one right here, it's like they literally came outside. Well, they kind of stepped their foot outside. They didn't go completely outside and lost their minds. If they had a mind to lose, of course. Someone said, who was the victim? Someone says, when the victim is white and the perpetrator is black, the news media becomes colorblind. If the races were reversed, race would be front and center. If you want to tell yourselves that, I guess go right on ahead. Someone said if this was reversed, they would have it front and center for weeks. And we just went over a news clip that is owned by Disney. You can't get much bigger than that covered it. His dad went and spoke, and his mom and his brother went to speak to Fox News. Even though I have my issues with Fox News, that's still considered a quote unquote media outlet that many of these individuals watch. So I'm trying to figure out, if no media news outlet covered, then I guess y'all aren't watching Fox News like y'all claim you are. Because isn't that one of y'all? Isn't that the hub of, like, one of the main hubs of the MAGA movement, quote unquote? Y'all just understand, this is fake outrage. Okay, they just needed something to be upset with, and this was the perfect thing to do. And I want you to understand this: not one time do any of these individuals say RIP to Austin Metcalf. Not one time do they offer condolences to his brother, his mother, or his father, or his friends or associates. Not one time do they do that. And that's a pattern I notice because they never do it. Anytime they're ready to go with the narrative or some type of an agenda, especially when it's against us, they never do that. They go straight into the off with his head. This is why they are not a compassionate group of people. Shout out to Scoop for the 2. He says, I'm sneak watching, don't tell. Well, listen, you already told yourself so, but I appreciate it. Someone else said, you should see the Facebook groups defending the black dude, justice for Karmelo, Bear, whatever. So someone says there are black people in a local Facebook group defending the kid that did the stabbing, saying the dead kid shouldn't have started it. Nothing that happened at the school function. And see, look at these comments right here. They're upset because black people are defending Karmelo Anthony. Oh, but when y'all was out there defending Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny for what they did, oh, we were supposed to just be okay with that. My, how the tables have turned. Someone says maybe no mention of race because it wasn't a hate crime, because it wasn't. It was a fight over a seat at the track championship. How about Ralph Yarrow, who rang someone's doorbell by mistake, didn't kick it in? That's a hate crime. Someone else says they can't sell a narrative by giving honest reports. Someone says if the roles were reversed, and notice they keep saying that. If the roles were reversed, we can push back on them with that because they like to do the same thing with us. They always love to say, why do you keep mentioning whataboutisms? And why do y'all keep doing this? Can we focus on this at hand? Well, how about this? Focus on the task at hand and wait for all the details to come out before you start shooting off at the mouth. And it goes on and on and on and on. But in wokeness wasn't done. Oh, no. He wasn't done. Because the day before, and I'm sorry if I have some of these out of order. Look at this. Say his name. Austin Metcalf, high-achieving student athlete, 4.0 GPA, killed in cold blood by Karmelo Anthony. Zero national outrage. 37 million views. And still, no RIP. No condolences to the family. None of that. Look, look, I want y'all to look at this cotton right here. Look at this comment. Look at this. Again, we should have picked our own cotton. Let me say that again. You got this PC man saying, again, we should have picked our own cotton. Wouldn't that have been a sight to see? Someone says, because racism is more black on white this day and age than white on black of the past, and that is a fact. Someone said, I'm assuming Austin was acting racist and started this whole altercation, thinking he was in a Twitter reply section or Reddit, perhaps justice for Karmelo. Someone says, do you care that he was killed or that it was done by a black person? They're asking the right questions. I'm going to actually click on this because I'm curious. I'm very curious. If the rolls, and then they spelled rolls wrong. They put rolls as dinner rolls. It's ROLES, so-called high IQ. It says, if the roles were reversed, would you be out for blood? So someone says, why do black people commit the most crimes? Y'all, listen, follow me here. We are 2 responses into this person's comment. Question. Again, they asked, do you care that he was killed or that it was done by a black person? The first comment says, if the roles are reversed, would you be out for blood? The next one says, why do black people commit the most crimes? Already we're 2 comments in, and they didn't even respond to the question properly. That sounds like guilt to me. Then they pull up these stats. That's not the question that he asked. Someone says, you clearly care more about race than murder based on this question. But that's not the question that he asked. Then, of course, they always got to mention their anchor, George Floyd. Remember George Floyd, the criminal drug addict? Sit down. Someone says the problem is that every time the inverse happens, there is a nationwide riots and media coverage. When whites are victims, there is crickets. People are tired of the double standard. Then why don't you get out there and do something about it? You crying online is not going to do anything. Y'all look foolish. And then to bring it up and try to make it seem like it's a hate crime thing makes you look even more dumb. I hope they ruin the case for them. I hope they really do. I want people to understand these individuals are not intelligent by any measure. They just got lucky that they were born with a savage genetic to cause them to destroy this earth several times over. And then implant in the people's heads that they were so smart and intelligent because they knew how to conquer everything. Because this, what I'm reading, is not a sign of intelligence. This is a sign of idiocy. And weakness. And cowardice. Someone said both, because when blacks kill whites, you guys don't flink. I guess they meant to say flinch. But when it's the opposite, the cities are looted. Meanwhile, every time there's a sporting event, a major sporting event at that, someone else said, "Why was he attacked?" Someone said, "Bro, I'm so close to muting this page. All you do is spread hate." Someone says, "Why does Austin Metcalf's murder by Karmelo Anthony get ignored nationally because of race or something else?" Someone says, "Can't we at least loot the nearest polo store just a little?" Hey, imagine if the races were reversed. Oh, there's Gunther Eagleman. People didn't know who he was a couple days ago, but then I brought him to your attention, and here he is. Imagine if the roles were reversed. How many times are they going to copy and paste imagine if the roles was reversed? My goodness. There would be riots in the street. I swear some of these individuals are copying and pasting each other's posts. Because they keep saying, imagine if the roles were reversed. They keep repeating that part over and over again. So what? Imagine if the roles were reversed. What's going to happen? You know what it also sounds like to me? It sounds like envy. Y'all are upset and y'all are pissed because black people have been very vocal about when stuff happens to us, and it annoys you, not because of black people saying something. It annoys you because we are very, very loud to getting our point across, and y'all think that justice is supposed to just fall into your lap. That's not how this works. That's what it is. I think that's what it is. I think I cracked the code, everybody. They're mad because they think justice is going to fall into their lap. They don't have to go out there and do nothing, or they feel like they don't have. Why do you think they latched on to BLM so much? Because they had nothing to latch onto themselves. That's why they came up with All Lives Matter to try to go up against it, and they didn't do anything with it. They did it with the Blue Lives Matter thing, and nothing came from that either. They hate BLM. Let me just say this. I don't like what BLM did as an organization, but they hate BLM as far as this, especially in its early stages, because of the noise that it made. And they're mad because they had to latch onto it instead of doing their own thing. And that's what pisses them off the most. They hate when they have to align themselves with us, even if we don't ask for them to be there. They just, slither their way in like a serpent. Why do you think so many of them got mad? Because black people wasn't going out there to do that protest today down in DC or wherever those protests are at. Shout out to black people, especially FBA, for not falling for that crap. They get mad when we don't include them in nothing. They get mad when we don't listen to them. Those days are done. And shout out to TJ for the $1. I appreciate you. Oh, we just getting warmed up, ladies and gentlemen. I got a whole bunch of tabs. KG said, Torian, this might be a 2-hour live. I said it might be a 2-hour plus, and we're not even at the 40-minute mark yet. Y'all know how y'all tell us, and by y'all I'm talking about them folks, for us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps? No, this is your time to put your boots on. Lace them things up and get to moving. But don't come our way looking for us to be involved. You go do your own thing. We're tired. I'm tired. I don't know. Are y'all tired? All this fake outrage for what? Y'all, they came out with this before we really knew anything. And they literally ran with it. And so many dummies fell for it. Exactly, KG. They didn't move for Lake and Raleigh. And the only reason they put that narrative out there was because the person who did it was an illegal immigrant. Anybody who is subscribed to my Patreon knows there is so much PC criminality over there on that on that platform that I cannot put on here, and y'all know why. If y'all are subscribed to me on Patreon, and you know that if I was to dump all of that on here, first of all, I know they would ignore it. Then what they'll do is they'll pull up the stats about black people, quote unquote, and 13%, you know, the usual spiel that they love to put out there to deflect. The reason why I'm doing this stream is that way you can have something to combat them with if they ever try to pull the stop victimhood thing with you, to stop pulling the race card thing with you, or to whatever else that they say. This other person said Austin was white, so his life doesn't matter and it doesn't fit the media's. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. It's crazy. The people that run the media are upset. Or the people who run the media are upset because they feel like it's not being talked about. No, it's not being talked about the way you want to talk about. So what do? Get online and throw a tantrum and start posting stuff like this. Let's move on to the next post. Barrington II. Now, this is a person that I've done a bed bucking video on in the past, but on this one, what I've also found is and this is a very, very small sum, black conservatives realize and see what narrative they're trying to spin. So Elijah Schaffer, and y'all know I've talked about Elijah in the past. Elijah posted up this picture where it has, of course, Austin Metcalf, and it has two pictures of Karmelo Anthony. One of them, he's holding a firearm, and the other one we've already seen. And shout out to TJ for the 5. He said Jordan Neely was the reverse, except he didn't touch anyone and was taken out. Right. I appreciate the 5. Now look at what Elijah said. We're gonna click on what Elijah said. Look at it. Look at the engagement. 5.8 million views. And notice how they get their views. They only can get their views this high when they post stuff like this that's inflammatory against another black person. And if it's something that involves a black person and a white person, then it really gets a lot of engagement. Elijah said forced integration has become a complete failure. We want our cities back. With the current liberal world order, we will never feel safe again. What have I told y'all about what they want when they say make America great again? A lot of them answered that question with this story. Well, you know what, Elijah? If you want to have segregation, you can have it. But make sure on your way out the door, you leave behind everything that black people created. Let me just put it this way, Elijah. You will be stranded and cold out in them streets if we had everything that black people invented by the time you get on the other side of segregation street. So you better be very careful with what you wish for. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you wish for. We're going to be warm and cozy over here. You're going to be cold and frigid wherever you go. Let's see what they're talking about under here. Someone says, do not forgive the killer of your child. And he's talking about the dad. You should have been armed as a dad around these types of people and then shot the perpetrator dead right there. So now he's advocating for the dad to initiate street justice. Weren't these the same people that keep talking about black people not idealizing gang culture? What is Elijah doing right now? He's literally co-signing street culture. He said, then spit on the body and piss on his grave. As a father of 2 boys, I'm afraid I'd end up in jail too. Always carry. And then that's when people started pulling up this photo that they don't like to show of Austin Metcalf. Now let's examine this, shall we? This is Austin Metcalf right here, as we've all seen before. But look at this picture. This is a picture right here of Austin Metcalf. And I don't know who this is. Maybe that's his brother or maybe a friend or something like that. That's definitely someone not related. But look at what they're holding. Look at what they're holding. All 3 of them. But let's focus on this one. Listen, I tell you, Black Twitter are some sleuths, okay? They put that detective cap on, get that magnifying glass and that kit and go to work and look at what they found. And probably didn't take them long to find it. Now, here's Karmelo Anthony right here. It looks like a athletic picture. He's standing in front of a height chart. Now, look at this. Now, in the pictures that they kept showing of Karmelo, it's cropped of just him in this picture holding this gun. But when you spread it out, oh, look at this. It's 2 black guys and 2 white guys. Now, I don't know, this guy might be south of the Borderian, but non-black. They cropped only this picture to not show 1 and 2. And they omitted this picture and only kept highlighting this picture. I tell you, black people on Twitter be on it. Let's continue. Someone else says, you are right. Forced intervention or integration has been a complete failure because your children still carry on your hateful ancestor behaviors. The young black boy was defending himself from the now deceased white boy. Bullying is never okay, and it has led to loss of life, unfortunately. And that's another, like I said, they are upset that black people are defending Karmelo Anthony because they feel like their voices are more louder, and it's like just the sight of anyone defending him is pissing them off. Someone else says, does this change anything? Cry me a river. Look at this. I want to live in a white country. Is that too much to ask? Then go there then. There's several I'm sure that you can find, but you won't leave. Someone else said one recent study stated that 1 in 22 black men have committed murder at least once in their life. I know I got more than 22 men in this chat, and I can guarantee without the shadow of a doubt that not one of them have committed murder. What study? And he said a recent study. How recent was this study? And they got the nerve to call themselves propaganda sniper. And what did they just post right here? Something that could be very propagandized or rooted in it. Someone else says, such a victim mentality. Why did you crop the photo? So anyway, basically, Elijah thought he was doing something with that post, and that's when people pulled out this picture. But let's go back to this one. So Barrington said, I hate degenerate blacks more than anyone, but a lot of whites use these incidents to justify their irrational fears of blacks, and it's extremely fascinating how they fall into the victimhood culture. Even people who have been known to be off code are calling this out. That is one paradigm shift I didn't expect to see coming. Shout out to Beatzilla because he replied to it. Bezilla said 339 years of chattel slavery without these people ever demonstrating a change in their understanding of oppression. Somehow they forget about their own evil to point blame at anyone is hilarious, and a major reason tethers have no business speaking for Black America. Someone else said, as you and others have pointed out, didn't E get his scariest image of Black criminal from what was actually this picture of GD's or some other mixed race set just by literally cropping out the Black dude? And it goes on and on and on. Let me read this one last comment. Someone says they were going to do it regardless of the circumstance and character of the Black kid in question. The Black boogeyman is the foundation of America. No amount of compartmentalization of history or rationale is going to change this overarching animosity. Ish ain't sweet out there. Exactly. So either way, that was the narrative that they was prepared to come with regardless. When they just got just a little bit of the story, they already knew how they was going to go with this. I mean, look at how fast they activated just to put stuff out there like this. Let's move on to the next thing. Hold on, y'all. Okay, y'all. Now we got to talk about Matt Walsh. And shout out to KG because Matt Walsh went on a complete and utter tirade about this situation that you would have thought that they were related. So Matt Walsh doing the Matt Walsh thing, he says, you need to see the data proving that Black males are disproportionately violent. Okay, well, all crime stats bear this out. Listen to what Matt said in the caption. He said this in a way to make a blanket statement about Black men in general. And he's using this incident that involves a Black teen to do it. Keep in mind, this is the same guy that did a nearly hour-long video, quote unquote, reviewing Sonic 3 and why it wasn't a quote unquote good movie without giving any real context of why it was a bad movie. At that point, he is not to be taken seriously. This is the same guy that came out with a movie, documentary, or whatever last year titled, Am I Racist? Yes, Matt Walsh, you are. You are definitely part of the anti-Black brigade. You practically live there. And of course, he had to pull out from 2019. And this is the only one that they love to pull. Like as if this one table is the majority of all of them. There's a lot of tables in these FBI crime stats, and Black people only lead in one. But they make it seem like it's a huge margin. And it's not. But I bet you pull up the crime stats on FBI, they make up the majority of all crimes, of any crime. Let's see what the people are saying in the comments. Jeff Charles said, here's an uncomfortable question for you. What percentage of the Black population commits those crimes? And I bet you, and here's the other thing. When they can't get you on questions like that, that's when they go to their default, which is per capita. And again, look at the view count, 4.1 million views. Notice every anti-Black person who has had something to say about this story all got millions of views of an engagement on their posts pertaining to this. For them, that was all they wanted. again, they could care less about what happened. They could care less about Austin Metcalf and his family. They don't even care about Karmelo Anthony. For them, it's for pushing a narrative and saying that black people, especially black males, are the most violent, dangerous people in America, and we have to somehow get rid of these monkeys and save the establishment. Because if it was left up to them, we would be sinking into the core of the earth. That is what they're saying. Someone else said, oh, look, it's Dr. Darrell Scott. He said, these stats are disingenuous. Now post these. Again, these are the ones, like, if you look at it, leading in the majority. Someone said, you're doing a great job of being racist. Someone says, okay, this data account for every possible factor. No, race isn't the cause of this, and you know it. If race was truly the issue, then white people would commit almost no crime. That part. Shout out to Avery Moore for the 5. He says, salute to you, Torian. Witnesses on the report stated Karmelo was being harassed from the beginning. Treat him equal like Daniel Penny in Rittenhouse. I appreciate you. Someone else said, father absence is likely the culprit here, not the color of someone's skin. Oh, this person right here had to go and mention that. Well, here's the kicker. Karmelo Anthony actually grew up in a 2-parent household. He wasn't raised by a single mother like y'all would probably like to believe. He had still has his dad in his life. So you're going to have to come up with another one. Look at this. Lack of fathers in black homes is likely the reason why. It's not race, it's psychological and spiritual. Someone says, throw up the stats of school shooting, suicide, and mass murder. I'll wait. Someone else says, so Matt, tell me, is the reason that they're black? Is that what you're arguing? Of course, that's what he's arguing. And it goes on and on and on. Someone else says, since she posted the rest, I thought I would add the exonerations also. And there's been a lot of those. Shout out to the fundraiser for the 10. He said, white people lead in all of the categories. One thing I never got is why they commit crimes when the majority of them come from 2-parent households, wealthy communities, including low crime areas. Exactly. And that's something I've echoed, and appreciate you, fundraiser. That's something I've echoed in the past. Like something ain't adding up. And ironically, we mentioned Rittenhouse name. Look who's trending number 1. I don't know why. I don't care. And it goes on and on and on. But Matt wasn't done. Matt was not done. And this right here that we're going to go over is a post that Matt made that KG spoke about. He said, if I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you that one young man in the altercation was white and the other black, again, I thought they didn't see color, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. Young black males are, listen to this again, this is more propaganda. Young black males are violent, excuse me, to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. Let me read that line again. Young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. Then he follows up with, that's just a fact. He said, we all know it, and it's time that we speak honestly about it, or nothing will ever change. Yeah, I saw what Whale Locke had to say. And it's crazy because he ended up contradicting himself because when they started to cook him in a way that started to come at an angle trying to go too extreme. Then he tried to backpedal. I was like, nah. You said what you said. I saw Fudel had something to say about it too. Him and Whitlock were going back and forth. Well, not so much back and forth, but more like back and forth in agreement about it. Shout out to the Knicks will be 2025 and 26 champs. That's a very ambitious title name, but shout out to you. For the 5, he says they're crying about black men, but are completely silent about the opiates that are killing them in greater numbers than guns kill black. Exactly. I appreciate you. Someone said your argument on selection bias and anecdotal reasoning. This situation is tragic. A black teen stabbed a white teen to death, but using one case to claim young black males are uniquely violent doesn't hold up. Not all or even most young black men are violent, just as not all white men are peaceful. Crime stats show most violence is intraracial, which is basically people of the same group. FBI data from 2022 indicates 89% of white homicide victims were killed by white offenders and 81% of black victims by black offenders. Now, interesting about this fact. If 89% of white homicide victims are killed by white offenders and 81% of black victims are killed by black offenders, why do they only say black on black crime? Especially since, if this stat is correct, 8% higher is white on white crime, but they never gave it a title. Things that make you go, They say interracial cases like this are outliers, not the norm. Cherry picking one to fit a narrative is flimsy logic. This is when the left generalized all police as racist based on isolated incidents. It was rightly called dumb. This is the same logic, just reverse. Honest discussion starts with facts, not stereotypes. Otherwise, nothing changes. Someone else said, bro, come on. We all know this is a problem with black folk. No one indicts all of them. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's what Matt Walsh just did, you idiot. At least all black males. Then they said, but the tendency and likelihood is much higher. Someone said Walsh's argument here is not about the black on white crime. It's only about the disproportionately high ratio of violent crime committed by blacks compared to whites, which 100% holds up as true. Well, let's look at all these mass shootings that happened in these schools over the last 2 or 3 years. But then again, you bring that up, then they'll revert back to per capita. All right. Okay, I'm done with Matt. Let's go on to this part. Now, this part right here is something that was apparently put out there. It's coming. They said it's coming from someone named Kevin Haynes' Facebook page. So take this with a grain of salt. And it's coming from it says BNB Empower Network. They said this is from Kevin Haynes off of Facebook. The truth about Karmelo. Let's set the record straight. Enough with the misinformation. Let's talk about facts. 1, it's normal for students from different schools to gather under another school's tent. Karmelo had friends there. He wasn't trespassing or looking for trouble. 2, the claim that one of the twins had never seen Karmelo before is a blatant lie. And remember what I told y'all earlier in the stream for those who were here? I said, I feel like they have history. I feel like they knew each other. I don't think like this occurrence that happened was a thing of, oh, they just met that day. I feel like they knew each other prior to this. It says 3, no student has the right to remove another student from a school-owned tent. The school owns the tent, not the twins. 4, Karmelo is a track athlete. The twins are not. And you're right, because they're football players. So he wasn't even expecting to see them there. Now, here's what they don't want you to know. They said the twins didn't just, quote, ask him to leave. They tried to jump him. This is before attacking him. They tried to take his belongings, broke his phone, and stomped on it. And this is 3, the twins are known bullies. So ask yourself, If two 200-plus-pound attackers came at your child, what would you expect them to do? And yet, despite everything, the media is trying to destroy Karmelo's name. They keep posting a picture of him with an airsoft gun, not even a real firearm. So the gun that they keep posting of him holding that we kept seeing wasn't even a real gun. It says to manipulate public perception. Why? Because they want to paint him as a criminal instead of a victim. Let's talk about who Karmelo really is. A respectful, well-mannered young man, a 4.0 student with multiple college offers, a kid with zero criminal history, not even a blemish, a son raised in a loving home by parents who taught him right from wrong. A life was lost, and that is tragic, but what's also tragic is the way the media is twisting the story to fit their own agenda. Karmelo defended himself against violent aggressors, and that is not a crime. Do not let the media race bait you. Do not let them manipulate the facts. Justice will prevail. And Reparations said he read this post and apparently it's from his uncle. Okay. Because I wasn't sure who Kevin Haynes was. So I'm guessing this is his uncle, most likely on his mom's side because of the last name. Because it didn't say Kevin Anthony. So we have that part right there. I wanted to also show this tab as well, because there's a phrase that's been floating around, and I think it was KG. Who was the one that came up with that phrase, the woke right? Can you put that in the chat? Because I forgot who it was. But this right here literally is proving that quote unquote woke right thing correctly. This person says the right is going quote unquote woke fast. And we put quoting because we know it's the bastardized version of it. This story is literally everywhere. Who cares what ethnicity he was, especially if he wasn't targeted for that reason? Now listen to this. Someone said just because race might not have been, it wasn't been the motivating factor doesn't mean it's not an important aspect of the story. Why would this right here is the definition of grasping for straws. They are going to try any way they can to turn it into something that it is not. Oh, you said Rob came up with, okay, appreciate it. Shout out to Rob. They said because crime by angry, fatherless, entitled black men is a huge issue. He wasn't fatherless, though. He grew up with his dad and his mom. No, someone else says, do you not see how the media treats white people? Oh, boo-hoo. Oh, boo-hoo. And I want to know how they treating you. Imagine if that was a black kid, they would have definitely made it fully about race. Someone else said, they said Fox covered it, ABC covered it, CBS covered it, WFAA covered it. So it's like, what do they mean no one talked about it? Someone that said he's pointing out inconsistency in the media coverage. It has nothing to do with woke right, whatever that is. Oh, don't pretend like y'all don't know what it is now. The same thing y'all accuse the quote unquote left of being, y'all are doing right now. It says he was targeted as being white. No, he was not. It says because blacks love to hurt white people. Question, would America be safer without the black community? I bet you wish that. Y'all, this post, let me zoom in on this right here. This post right here could sum up everything that I just read over the last hour on Twitter. This post right here is how many of the people who have been going in about this story the last 2 or 3 days, this is what they really feel. This is what they really want to say, is that he was targeted as being white because blacks love to hurt white people. Question, would America be safer without the black community, under the assumption that they'll be safer if it was just y'all? It says George Floyd, because they love to bring up George Floyd, wasn't killed because of the color of his skin, yet cities were burnt and an entire race was blamed because of it. How do you know that white people weren't targeted by him? Did he go? I'm getting a migraine, y'all. I'm leaning into the mic and I am getting a headache. Shout out to the 354 people that's in here in the chat. I'm glad that you are all here. Make sure y'all have hit the well, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do that. And it's crazy because I have it on subscriber mode only, and it said that you had to be subscribed to the channel for 24 hours. So I know that the 351 people that's in here right now are authentic. So I appreciate you. He said, how do you know that white people weren't targeted by him? There's so many factors that would prove that he wasn't. But do you know how many factors it would need to be proven that he was? It said, and even if he wasn't predisposed by racial bias, how does that make the crime any less horrific? Oh my God. Listen to this. You can't say he wasn't targeted for being white. Sure, there is no direct evidence because there isn't any. That's why he's not charged with a hate crime. Sure, but how many, quote, honkies were named around the dinner table? How many white people jokes were made at his high school? How many movies where white culture was maligned did he see? We will never know. You know what? You know what? You know what?
What did you say, nigga?
Goofy, I warned you. You're fired!
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.
Listen. Fuck up. Get out.
I had to play all the drops that applied. Because what? This might be one of the most idiotic comments. And then, oh, listen, look, and you see the follow-up. You see the KG, you see the follow-up. It's Jonathan, it's not that they're getting to me because of the situation. It's because I can't stand incompetency. Like, that's another pet peeve of mine. Like, that, what? JM, please drive carefully on that road. I don't want to be the one responsible for any wrecks. We know he likely wasn't targeted for being white. The point is that the killer was violent because he is black. Someone else says, someone says, no, it just seems from the data that black have lower impulse control, which leads to crime. I think the real question is why and what to do about it. If it's woke to notice black people do more crime, then call me AOC. We're just going with the numbers. It says blacks hate white people. I hope all of white America understands that now. Let me move on from this. Let's go to this post. So this person said, not one single word about what happened to Austin Metcalf from liberal news outlets. If it doesn't help fit their narrative, they do not care. Disgusting. And then they tag CNN, MSNBC, and New York Times, and The Atlantic. And then look at this one. Look at this right here. Someone else says CNN reported it 11 hours ago. And the person who wrote this tweet responded with not one tweet.
What did you say, nigga?
Goofy, I warned you. You're fired!
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.
Listen. Fuck up. Get out.
Damn. It's a bunch of bull.
So what you're telling me is because CNN, hold on, CNN did not post it in a tweet. That negates them reporting on it, which is what you were complaining about in your tweet. Y'all, to those in the chat, I want you to understand something. Not only did this stream today expose their anti-blackness, it just straight up exposed how stupid they are. This person actually got upset because CNN didn't tweet about it, but they reported about it on their website. I feel like the meat in an idiot sandwich. Because you're upset they didn't tweet about it. Someone said, "Are you going to cry and sob because they didn't post it on TikTok?" They probably have. They said, "Are you going to cry because they didn't post on Instagram story too?" Someone said, "What a effing loser you are." They said, "Stop trying to make a grievance where none exists." Someone else said, "Should they post it on OnlyFans too?" Wow, wow, wow. Okay, y'all. I've had enough. Here comes the part where y'all get to chime in. And I'm sure after being on here for over an hour, y'all are ready to chime in. So there goes the link. And as a courtesy to you, I will extend the time on the buzzer to 3 minutes. Because this is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? It just is. Okay, hold on. Let me pin the link right quick, y'all. Let me put myself on mute while I do. Should be pinned in the chat now, y'all. All right. Wallow, of course, you're up first.
Dad, Torian, how you doing, man? How you doing, everybody?
I'm going to need a stress reliever.
Yeah, cause good God Almighty, I can hear it in your voice. You about to have a brain or But my thing is this: with this whole situation, since they want to put the first-degree murder charge on him, like you said, I don't know how much that's gonna stick because he didn't really mean to do it. Like, I don't know if KG's still in the chat. I don't know if he's gonna come up or not. But my question would be, couldn't he use the Daniel Penny defense in this case?
Well, the thing is, they said that after when it happened, they said that he came back to see if he was okay because he did. The fact that he did that means he didn't mean to do it.
Yeah,
it was a heated. It was like a moment. It was a thing where he, like, if it was a self-defense thing, then that's the first thing that he could do.
Yeah, so that could be something like there, and then they're crashing out and they getting all that engagement. They only said all that stuff just to get money. They really don't care. Will Kane, you bitch, I can't stand you since ESPN days. You did all y'all just saying that stuff just to get money. That's all it is. No RIP to the family, no RIP to him, no condolences. Y'all don't care about that, boy. Y'all didn't even care about Roddy Gaines like that. Let's just be perfectly honest. Let's just throw everything out on the table. Y'all just use these folks as an example to try to throw bullets at us, but it ain't gonna work. It just simply ain't gonna work. And with that, I'm gonna land my plane there. B1.
B1. Shout out to Waller for coming up. Next up, we got Jonathan. What's going on?
What's going on, man? So I did when I first heard about this, and I believe I saw of all media, social media, X, Twitter. Tell me why they try to make Metcalf the victim, the Oscar Metcalf the victim already, and Karmelo Anthony the perpetrator without getting the whole details. They were so quick to try and get that man to be the victim, to get this black dude all the hate, all the hope for him to get out of jail time. You know what I'm saying? Well, they known to try to put stories on us, but don't get the whole details. See, when I heard about this, I was like, nah, something not right. He wouldn't just kill that white boy for no reason. And thank God you made this video, because I should have known that Austin Metcalf was a bully this whole time, which led to his shooting. They just don't like to hold accountability for their wrongdoing, and they do this all the time, like try to move the goalposts, switch it up to make themselves look like a good guy, to make us look like the villains, and I'm just sick of it. So that's why I'm glad I'm always hitting the gym. It relieves that stress. It prevents that stress from all this crap.
Mhm.
Well, let me go ahead and land my plane right there before I get the.
Okay, all right. I appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Jonathan. All right, next up we got Goddess. What's going on?
Hey, Torian, salute to you, brother. Whew.
Hey.
Thank you for this space, much needed. And indeed, this one should run long because it's much needed. There's so much to unpack. When you have the ruling class and all these SWSs chiming in, thinking because I'm pink and I say so, and it matters what I say, I can drown out reason, common sense, and facts. That thank God that we as a lineage do our due diligence by digging up receipts and things that are buried, that they try to bury. We did dig them up and dig them out, and we know we have to document quickly before they scrub the internet, scrub these people accounts and things of that nature. These twins are known bullies, or were known bullies. They keep negating the fact that these young white young men were under the influence of fentanyl, which is a very important thing that they leave out, but we uncovered it, that he died or met his demise after the fact that, it was discovered that it was the fentanyl that he actually OD'd on. Because when you, it only takes less than half of a smidgen of a gram to OD on. And when you're active and doing under strenuous behavior, such as fighting, resisting, exercising, what have you, it can cause your demise. And that, our young brother had every right to defend himself. He was being bullied, he was being targeted. And I don't use the word trying to jump him or trying to force him, back so that they can pound on him. They actually did. And one of them punched him in the nose, and the other one was grabbing and strangulating this young man. And so he just pulled, I guess, remembered what he had in his pocket and defended himself. And if he was such a cold, callous, just unthoughtful human being, he wouldn't have went back to check on this young man later. It's very unfortunate that it was a loss of life, but let's look. It's very unfortunate for you to bully and put your hands on someone and try to delete them by pounding them, and that hit to his nose could have been his demise, because being struck in the face, the nose. Sorry,
Goddess, I
Bob.
think.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, the phone be blacking out. I'll touch it.
Okay.
We know that can be a very serious end to someone, but we're used to all these matte washes and all these other white think tanks and their talking points, and them trying to debase this young man and turn everything into a race baiting contest instead, and stirring people away from the facts and away from how the situation really transpired. And we know that white supremacy take both sides of the conversations, with them cropping out the pictures and them trying to play, perpetrate this young man as having weapons when it's an air gun, and the fact that these other two young white males were avid hunters, bullies, athletes. They were way bigger than him as well. And then they say, why was he there under the tent? Well, why were they there? Because he was actually there at a meet. So, and they were football players. So, it's just a lot of things that was misconstrued. But thank God that we have our magnifying glasses and we have our think caps on, and we do our own digging, and we need justice for this young man. And salute to you, salute to the mod squad in the chat and the family in the chat. Peace and love.
B1. Shout out to Goddess for coming up. Also, let me go to the super chat that came in while Goddess was talking. I don't want to interrupt. Shout out to Thomas. He said, with the two, he says, get his GoFundMe link. Yes, in case y'all didn't know, there is a current active GoFundMe for Karmelo Anthony. I actually posted the link in the chat. So far, their goal is $50K. And right now, it has raised $16,688 with 376 donations so far. But the GoFundMe link, excuse me, to Karmelo Anthony is right there in the link in the chat. All right, next up we got Cosmo Fury. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I knew it. Like when you first started it, and I knew it was gonna come to light that the twins were bullies. This is something I've seen growing up, and luckily I wasn't the victim of it. But I've seen twins that I went to school with be twin bullies, and then turn around and be, oh, my kids don't do this, my kids don't do that, and I'm like, I knew it. I had it, a feeling of it. Why, of all things, would he attack him one-on-one to defend himself with a knife when he could have, a kid that has never been in trouble before, really like that at all? You think he would have? I know he would have shot Austin in the face, one-on-one.
And that's one thing too. Like when I was reading that last part before I dropped the link for y'all to come up, when they were talking about Karmelo's supposed to be there because he runs track, so he had a right to be there. Why were the twins there? They didn't run track. They played football, so why were they even there? And another thing, they said they didn't have the power or authority to move him from that tent. That's something that whoever runs that tent, they had to do, not them. So that alone right there, I'm like, of course, the usual suspects aren't going to bring that up, but I'm like, let's not sit and pretend like Karmelo just killed this kid just because, he didn't like his presence there or he had a bad vibe about him. No, this was something that stemmed from them. And all he was doing from our perspective was defending themselves. If they can sit online and say that he did what he did, then we can come back and say, no, he did not. He was defending himself.
Just like Jordan Williams was. People, I'm going to keep bringing that up for the simple fact that they did, of all the rare instances of being done right, that kid in New York was done right. He protected himself, his girlfriend, and this dude was harming other people on the train. As for the situation, I looked at I was looking at what the twin brother said. And the twin brother said, about him, but he said, I don't want to talk about it because he know what they did.
Yeah, and that's why I said that when this goes to trial, because I know it's going to go to trial, they need to speak. I feel like it had to be more than just them three there at that tent. They were at a track meet. That means people were there. So that means there were witnesses. People saw what happened. Other than just the twin, who of course is going to be a star witness, there had to be other people that was there that saw that, to see what was going down, because I highly doubt it was just them under that tent by themselves.
I have to agree with you. One last thing before I go. Why is the father so forgiving?
Yeah, that one kind of caught me off guard. like a little bit. Now, the tone that the mother was giving, I expected that. How she was coming, I expected that from her. But him, I was wondering the same thing. Like he was being very forgiving.
Learned behavior. He know what his kids. He know his sons. He knew basically either he felt guilty for the influence he had on them, because some people he knew that allowing them to be boy. He probably encouraged them to fight one another as kids growing up to see about the toughness thing, and he knew ultimately it. I mean, basically when he heard about the bullying and how it happened, he probably was like, you know what, I forgive him because he trained his kids to be bullied. That's what I'm going with. That's what I feel in my heart of hearts. It ain't all about just being training them to be hateful. It ain't that. I think it's the bully mentality that got him more than anything that got his son deleted. And that's why I'm gonna land my plane.
All right, appreciate you coming up. All right, shout out to Cosmo for coming up. Yeah, Jonathan, if you need to come back up, the link is pinned at the top. All right, next up we got Denzimus. What's going on? You're muted.
Oh, there we go. All right. Hope your day's going good. Yeah, so one thing we have to understand when it comes to these people online and the suspected the PC, it's only murder when you do it to a white person. And this situation just proves it. These are the same people who made excuses for Kyle Rittenhouse. These are the same people who made excuses for that white bitch who tried to invade the Capitol. So my thing is, y'all all of a sudden now y'all care about the law. Now y'all care about somebody standing their ground in a negative light. No. You can't pick and choose. These white boys were once again twice his size, and they started with him. And family, please teach your kids how to fight because you know obviously it's to a certain extent it's sad that one of them died, but yeah, you can't go around starting shit with people. You can't control people's reaction. You can't control people's reactions. That boy started with him and he got stabbed, and I hope he gets off in self-defense. I hope he does, because if this was the other way around, you couldn't win with these people. They would be they would be justifying this black boy being killed. And this just, I hope he gets off. I really do, because this sets a precedent that black people, if he does get off, this will set a great precedent. But if this boy is punished for defending himself, it'll just set an example of how we aren't allowed to protect ourselves under any circumstances. And I say hell no. You protect yourself, black kids. You protect yourself, black people. These PC people are nobody special, because they won't hesitate to kill you given the opportunity. And that's pretty much all I have to say. B1.
B1. Shout out to Zemus. Before I bring up the next person, I'm gonna let Jonathan come back up because he said he had to say one more thing. What's going on?
Okay, so you mentioned that Karmelo had like a tent, right?
Yeah, he was at a track meet and he was at the tent, like the holding tent.
And Austin had invaded it or something.
Yeah, they came there because he was there because Karmelo was there for a track meet, so he was supposed to be there. But the other two, the twins, they weren't supposed to be there because they don't run track; they play football.
Okay,
so they weren't supposed to be there, so they came there.
Okay, so the reason why I asked that, because I believe I caught a glimpse of Brandon Bakem Tatum's video, and I believe he was talking about it because it was mentioned about a tent being invaded and all that, and he's and then it also shows a video of him getting into a physical altercation with someone he claims is an Antifa, and he admitted that he got into a fight with this guy. And I'm like, what you doing getting into a fight with someone that don't have nothing to do with your views and all? Like, my question is, he always said black people are always violent and all that, but why are you getting all violent fighting Antifa dude? If you go to his his channel, one of his live videos, he got a title saying he got into like a actual physical fight with an Antifa member. I thought I'd bring bring that to your attention in case you need to make a video about it.
Okay.
All right, man. That was all I needed to tell you. So
All right.
I'm gonna let my
Appreciate
point again. All right.
All right. Shout out to Jonathan. Next up, we got. I have no clue who this is. I'm just going by the name, but this person is called themselves Karmelo Anthony. And if you're speaking, okay.
I'm from New York, son.
I should have known.
And that's how the PA announcement at MSG says his name.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because like when I clicked the three dots, your name didn't pop up there, so I wasn't sure who it was. I said something tells me it's KG, but I could be wrong. What's going on?
I'm doing something white people don't do. I'm saying his name. But anyway, the young bull got a hard task ahead of him because he's gonna have to prove stand your ground. He's got to prove mutual combat.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be tough. But I think he's gonna. They'll probably reduce the charges, and he'll probably beat the charges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm like that first degree. I said that does not sound right to me. That doesn't.
Yeah,
someone said in the chat
that's Texas.
Yeah, that's someone said in the chat earlier they probably did that because they know they're not gonna get the first degree, but they feel if they overcharge, there's a good chance they might land somewhere on a lesser charge. If opposed to going on a lesser charge, then it falls off completely and he just walks away scot-free.
Right.
Because think about it. Like, think about what the recent update that I talked about with Maurice Byrd last year in Pennsylvania, the one who got into it with his white supremacist neighbor at the barbershop, and he popped him and they locked him up. And what happened what just recently happened? They acquitted him of all charges and found that he was indeed defending himself.
Yep. But Matt Walsh is he's a character.
Oh yeah, he like I said, he was going off, and I did see your stream when he was like going on a whole minstrel rant about this situation. I'm like, Matt, calm down.
Did you see the slavery tweet?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say this because I gotta head into work. Watch the family and whoever their lawyer is block that autopsy. Watch what I tell you.
But say it again.
Watch his family, Austin Metcalf, and their attorneys block that autopsy. Watch what I tell you.
And why do you say that?
Because there's going to be something in there. He was either on drugs or some shit, and it's going to come up in there, and they're going to have a rationale.
Oh, didn't think about that.
Because I know they were floating one around online, but I don't think that's real. Because I've been looking for like the last 3 days.
Yeah, I would say that too. Because it's too early for an autopsy. It just happened.
Well, no, because they're going to use the George Floyd defense. They're like, because they did it like the same night or the day after. But watch, the autopsy gonna come out in a couple weeks, and his family gonna block it when they see it, because it's gonna say he had drugs in his system. Watch what I tell you. Anyway, I'm gonna land there because.
Okay. Now I said I was about to say if you write about that, then I'm gonna need the Powerball numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna head out because I gotta do work and then I gotta go figure out how I'm gonna go cook fake tomorrow.
And also, when I get off here, I'm gonna go look at
pause.
Paul. Exact. Something told me that was gonna be a pause statement, but I'm gonna go look at that So Well video that you did because I was getting ready to watch it, but then realized I couldn't because I had to get started with this.
Yeah, that's cool. You're gonna love that video.
Okay.
All right, I'm out.
All right. Shout out to Kid for coming up. Next up, we got Jacoby. What's going on?
Hey, Torian, how you doing? You know what's going to have to end up happening? Yeah, we're all emotional and pissed off about it. I think the brother he's gonna beat the charges. But what ends up having to do at this point, the losses are going to have to start dropping on these social media companies, because if they are deliberately spinning a narrative that's not meant to be there, yeah, there's a thing of freedom of speech, but you don't get to twist the lie to make it fly, and that's what I've been seeing. And so what's gonna if it goes to trial, which I believe it will, I want the defendant should ask for a live jury, like media live, so they can see everything that is going on, because you slandered this brother's name when you first posted his picture on social media, he had his face all janky. Like this dude, it made the way they were narrated, like this dude just came out of the bushes nowhere and stabbed this dude up. And when the story started coming out more and more, nobody didn't want to report it because the narrative was already set in stone. And then the reason why the father is forgiving is because he knew his sons were getting out of control, and he knew one way it was going to end up not good. So that's probably why he didn't go in like, yeah, I forgive my son, or I forgive him, because he knew in the back, like, okay, his sons were out of control, even to the point where he couldn't bring them in line. And that's what I'm seeing out of that. But at this point, Tatum tits, and I don't even have that enough character. Jason Whittylock, Titty Lock. He needs to some defamation charges. Suits need to start dropping, because I can't go to Torian and slander Torian's name, right? And that's what they're doing, and they're trying to get away with it. And I think at this point, what needs to happen is lawsuits need to start dropping, and that's the only way you're gonna get people's attention, because you shouldn't just let shit like this fly. And I'll land my plane there.
Appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Jacoby for coming up. Let's see, who do we have next coming up to the stage? Let me see.
Heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred.
What's going on, Hurricane Nisi?
Hey, Torian. Hey, family in the chat. I'm going to need more than 3 minutes. Will you allow me?
Sure.
All right. We are in the precipice of war, family. No more apologizing. No more bowing down. No more going along to get along. We need to give matching energies. You bring the shit, you bring the shit. My sympathies to Karmelo Anthony's family. The other ones fucked around, found out. Fuck them. That father and that fake forgive bullshit cap. At least with the mama, she was being true. A true bitch. Family, do what you gotta do to protect you and our family. Whatever the cost. Playtime is over.
I appreciate Ms. Nisi. She said she was going to need more than 3 minutes, but she got it done in less than 3 minutes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Hurricane Nisi. All right, the last person I have coming up is Mr. Williams. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? I just want to say this by listening to everybody. You remember the sister who had gotten that fight with the white chick? She had ended up banging her head.
Oh yeah, you talking about the white girl Riley Gaines?
Yeah. Now here's this weird. When they talked to her dad, he said the same thing. Known for bullying, always in trouble, and he didn't sound like he really was mad at the girl who did it at all.
Yeah, because let's not forget, Riley Gaines the day before, she was involved with the jumping of another girl at that school, like was another black girl, and she ended up getting like suspended or something like that. So she wasn't supposed to be there. The girl who did it, whose name is Marnisha Clue, is friends with the girl that she helped jump.
And the fact she was a scholar, just like this brother. And I didn't, and I kind of came in, but and like you said, it looks like they already knew him, and I think he was prepared just in case he had to deal with some nonsense again. Because because him being that small, or however small he was compared to them, because you can just tell by looking at him that both those brothers were not small at all.
Yeah, they're not. They said they were both 200 plus pounds, and they
Lord.
like they were football players, so they had some size to them. Whereas Karmelo, he was a track runner. Track people who run track, their body frames, while they're very athletic and lean, but they're smaller in frame.
Right. And like you said, it looks like they gave him that charge to try to still get something on him. So it's almost, and I've seen stories like that where they'll, and this is an old story, but they put this one brother on a high charge knowing that it wouldn't stick. So at least they can get him on something. But hopefully, like everybody else said, that he gets off, because it looks like a case of, bullying. And, you know, and like you said, they had no business being there, as with the brother. He's a track star. He was there probably supporting the school, whatever the case was. And where are the witnesses? And hopefully more people...
Exactly, because it had to be more than just them three in that tent. That's the thing that's getting me. I said there has to be more people there that saw that. You can't sit here and tell me that the only people that was there was them three.
Right. And
it had to be more than people. Yeah, it had to be more than just them three there.
And if the dad knows something, he's gonna have to just have his family hate him and say something. You know, I'm sorry, because if the dad of the other girl says something, it's like you can't always just not hold your kids accountable. And then you got the brother who, I think KJ or somebody else said something. He knows something too, because he was right there. And it's just, and people have to know them too. So hopefully more people speak out about who they are compared to who the other kid was. And it should be open and shut. But I'm about to get out of here. Just want to say my piece.
No problem. Thanks for coming up.
All right. Bye.
All right. And let me make a minor correction. Shout out to Cosmo for correcting me. It was Kaylee Gaines, not Riley Gaines. It was Kaylee Gaines. And someone had asked me what was an update on Marnice DeClue. The last update that came about her was in August of last year. They said that they charged her with second degree. Let me pull it up. They charged her with second degree assault. That was the last update that came in. That was in August of last year. So nothing else has come since then. Because remember, they were trying to overcharge her, much in the same way they're trying to overcharge him. Corey said Twitter's gonna put Torian in therapy. Listen, I'm put it like this. When Twitter first came out, back in 2009, that's back when I was in college. The only people I really followed on there were people I went to college with. Twitter was such a better platform back then. Then Elon got a hold of it, and it turned into this. What y'all saw right here, the stuff that I went over in today's stream with all these posts, is a symptom, a major symptom of what happened when Elon purchased that app back in 2021. Because it did not used to be like that at all. I promise you that. I mean, after all, when he purchased it, what happened? The N-word went up in usage by 500%. They couldn't wait to start. They couldn't wait to fire off with that word. Hold on, Black Voltron. Let me see if I can find it again, because I posted the link in there. Hold on. You know what it probably was? You know what? It might have been taken down. That's crazy, but I'm not surprised. Because I can't find it now. And if they did, that was quick. But anyway, y'all, we are about to bring... Oh, listen. Oh, yeah, Doc Spencer. I keep telling people, attributed to my keyboarding class that I took back in 05 when I was in high school, 04, 05, keyboarding class, those home roll keys. Now, I said learning to type by touch is one of the best things I could have ever learned in my life, honestly. But anyway, y'all, we are about. You said it's still there. Then it must be. Then it must be a different one then, because I know that I posted one in the chat earlier, and that one was active. Like I was literally looking right at the screen. I was looking right at it. So maybe it was a different one that they had that got shut down. This might be a new one. All right, hold on, y'all. Goddess, what's going on? Here we go.
Hey, thank you, Brother Torian, for allowing me back up to speak. We have to remember this is our country, right? This is America. No one knows laws, rules, and regulations better than we do because no one was subjugated and had to really know the letter of the law the way we had to because it's literally life and death for our very own survival. Unlike our ruling class counterparts, who may have an idea of the law, but they know they have $1 million worth of PC-ness. So that in itself allows them to be a little ignorant on certain things because they know they have a get out of jail free card for most of their insane, diabolical, um, dehumanizing behavior. Um, it's common for the average American citizen um, to be able to bear arms unless they do something that interferes with that right, constitutional right. And usually, if you're in Boy Scouts or just in nature or a naturalist or what have you, people often have pocket knives or things of that nature. So it's not so uncommon, but only do they try to paint our lineage in this animalistic, dehumanizing, savage behavior when it in fact it's a projection of their own because they're so unlawful, inhumane, and unruly that laws, rules, and regulations is actually there to guide them, but yet there to suppress us. I agree with Brother Jay when he was up here. It needs to be a televised um, trial, and um, they need to really make sure that they hit all corners and all. Um, get all the information and receipts they can and a lot of character witnesses and pick that jury as best as they can for the defense of our young brother Karmelo Anthony, because that young man did what any God-fearing person within their rights would do when they are being attacked, is to defend oneself. Unfortunately, like we say, it was unfortunate at the demise of life, but it's unfortunate when you behave savagely and think there's no consequences. And sometimes consequences don't come out in your favor. But thank you. Be one, brother. Salute.
Shout out to Goddess coming up again. Black Rage, what's going on?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, but like I was saying before, I just came home from work. But these two dudes was known bullies. I think there's no way he just gonna come out of nowhere just to stab one. And I think the other one, the one that's still living, he ran. He realized, oh, we got too much shit, and he didn't realize his brother now got stabbed. And
Yeah, they said because they said that that he had died in his arms or something like that. So like you said, I believe he probably did run and then he came back.
yeah, and my thing is, if this was such a big deal, why couldn't y'all get security? And like you and somebody else said in the video, these dudes were known bullies, and they put their hands on this man first. They went out of their way to do something, and then the mom crying with her bad built self. My son died because he told that man he didn't belong. Man, bitch, please. And also, I'm gonna tell every black person in the comment section: make sure y'all go into the gym and make sure y'all got y'all power tools and whatever means to defend yourself, because some of them gonna try to. They feel like they're gonna have to avenge him or something like that, but they know who to target though, because they'll never try this on brothers that look like they willing with the smoke. Y'all notice that, or just me?
I noticed it.
They'll never come after somebody like, oh, he might put hands on me, or he might fight back. Let me go mess with him. I ain't never seen that. Because I've had to deal with some of this in the military. That's why I'm so passionate about this. Some of them have tried me like that in the past. And I've let them know, like, we can do whatever. I don't care about no Article 15. Because they'll think when you quiet, they think you docile for some reason. When you doing your own thing and you ain't mess with a lot of people, they think for some reason you docile or you're weak. Anyway, I just had to call and check up on here to make sure I catch up with y'all. B1.
B1. I appreciate you. And like Jonathan said in the chat, that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, yeah, that's one you definitely need to watch out for down there in Texas. Y'all think that you think Governor Wills is something, Dan Patrick is worse. Remember, this is the same guy that was willing to throw his own family under the bus during the pandemic just to get people to go back to work because he was trying to make some money. Mr. Williams, you're back. What's going on?
I was just thinking. I don't know if your stream was still up. I'm wondering, by the way the mom was, do you think she was the influence in how those kids were acting?
You said their mom?
Yeah, because you see how she was really angry as compared to the dad? It's because if he had to add to it was going to happen sooner or later, and she didn't. I was just kind of thinking of that. Because sometimes
it's funny you say that because, and I want you to hold on to this thought.
Yeah.
Because I have a video that I recorded not too long ago, maybe last week. You know, I batch record my stuff.
Right.
And I have a video that's going to come up and you're going to see, because I've always said, I wonder what it would be like to be a fly in their home when we're not around. And I got my answer with this video that was floating around on social media. I'm not going to say what video it is. You may or may not have seen it, but I got a hold of it. And when you see it, it's going to be like, okay, I bet you that is how many of them act when they are not around us and it's just them. And then when they go out in public and when they're around us, they act a whole different way.
Well, I remember, I think Phil did the video, and I think Dimitri did it too, on the white woman who talked about, I guess, how her family is behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, the thing is, here's the thing. That video, I think I know what video you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was only someone talking about it. This video, you're actually going to see it. And it's like a whole, and the video had to be like about 15 people in that video, ranging from different ages, both men and women, mainly men.
Right.
And, you know, and it looks like they were family or something like that. I don't know what it was, but when you see it, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Right. And one more thing. And you remember how when a lot of times when they talk about when our towns get burned down, it's always the woman that triggers it.
Well,
that's why I was thinking of that. I'm like, And so that's why I would say when you post that question, what has Black media did for you? Well, I think a whole lot more. because I was really thinking like this, and it just hit me. I'm like, she could have been the one that really got him into that bullying. You know, because she's too angry. Like she's upset that it looks like, I don't know. But you know, I'm just gonna. But hopefully, you or other people keep an eye on that case because because there's gonna be something else that's gonna happen. But all right, man.
I appreciate you.
Yep. Bye.
All right, Jonathan. Is the video you're talking about involving the one that's involving Fakem? That's talking about this, right? Is this a video that he recently posted up on his channel? That way, I'm not, because if I don't have to go over there, I don't go over there. Trust me, he's not in my search bar. Just let me know if that's the video that's why I keep telling people y'all need to be in the Discord, because that way, if you're in the Discord, you can post the video in there and I don't have to go and try to find it. Hold on, y'all. Black Trini girl, what's going on?
Hey, Tarian. It's been a
What's
while.
going on? I
I'm
know what's
good.
going on.
Two things I want to say. First thing is they started off arguing in the beginning. The Austin guy was telling the other guy to leave. And he didn't want to leave. He was standing his ground. And that's when Austin punched him. And he started the fight. He was the one that hit first. And I think I think he should get off because he was, like everybody said, it's clearly seen he was defending himself. And, somebody was saying something to the effect of, it's better to defend yourself than to be 6 feet under, or something like that. Do the time if you have to. It's better than being dead, right? On a totally unrelated note, I know we here in the DMV, right? I'm seeing on Fox 5, they're doing the Palestine protests. I see no black people there. None.
Good.
I'm looking, you check Fox 5, and you're looking at the audience, they're just standing there with signs. There's no black people, period. It's beautiful watching this. But I'm gonna land my plane.
Appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Black Trini girl. All right, next up we got Mansa Musa. I just posted the Discord link in the chat. JDW, what's going on?
Hey, brother, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Free brother Karmelo, man. He innocent. Self-defense. Period. Listen. First of all, salute to the chat. Salute to all black media, Excuse me, new black media. I'm sorry, because old black media is dead. Because nobody in old black media is pretty much speaking on this brother's behalf. And when you got these white folks who's trying to the usual suspects, as you have in this title, excuse me, I'm sorry, paint the obvious narratives of black people killing white people in a normal race, which has been proven to be a lie in so many statistics. But then again, hey, white people been talking about black people being 30% of the population since how long? 70 years, 80 years. So why am I surprised? And Austin, this white boy was the one who drew the first punch. I mean, hey, the brother Carmelo didn't punk out like that POS Daniel Penny, who went behind Jordan Neely like a coward. So that's it is what it is. Again,
Is that
free
it?
Carm. Yes, I'm good, man. I'll leave my
Okay.
plane right there, brother. Take it easy.
Okay. Shout out to you, JDW. Now you good, Black Trini girl. You got your point out. You didn't cut off too soon. The part that really got me though was when you said you was looking at the coverage of it and you didn't see no black people out there. That's why I said good. I was responding to that. I was saying good to that. Yeah, they must have snatched it down. Then it is what it is. But I'm not surprised. Now, of course, they had have a GoFundMe set up for Austin Metcalf and his family, and I looked at that one. That one is still very much active, and that one is at like, when I saw it, it was at like $240 something thousand. Not surprised by it, especially when most of the people that probably donated was probably some of the people that left them comments on Twitter that we was going over today in this live. But anyway, y'all, I have unpinned the StreamYard link, which means I am officially now about to shut down the stream. Shout out to everybody who came through. I told people this was going to be a 2-hour plus stream, and hey, it happened. Shout out to DSB for all the memberships. Also, the $100 super chat, Black Rage for the super chat, Rashawn for the super chat, Scoop, TJ, Avery, the fundraiser, Nix, Thomas, and FBA Queen for the super chats and for the memberships that were given away to the people today. There will be a update video coming tomorrow. It's going to be in Operation Protect the White Boy, so be on the lookout for that one. And with that being said, everybody, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. The next time I go live will be on Monday, and Monday's live will be the live I was planning on doing today. Monday's live is going to be more light. It's going to be comedic. It's going to be one that you're going to laugh at because of how ridiculous it is. But this one was more heavy, as we kind of already knew it would be. But y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Stay pleasant, be safe, and most importantly, be one.